Hi everyone, Nicole with Logisoft. Today I want to walk through with you the overview of the process of when you've made a new sign purchase from us. So this would be a new Acrobat sign named user or most likely transactions purchase, and getting it up and running, making sure everyone can use it. So I'm going to walk through the steps. I'm going to reference some other videos I've made, which will be in the comments. But essentially, these steps will get your sign users up and running. So step one is making sure you can get into the admin console. Maybe you are new to the admin console because your department is taking on sign and you've never done it before. If that's the case, it is a little different to log in to an admin console because you must select personal account or personal profile. So the first video that I have linked out in the comments is to a profile picker video. So make sure you can get logged in correctly, because with sign, it is really important both for the admin console shown here and the sign console that we'll get to in a little bit. Next is maybe you already have access to an Adobe console and you have your Creative Cloud in one and your sign in a separate one. If you have to toggle between accounts, there is also a video in the comments on how to do that and the tips and tricks there. You may have more than one with your email address, and that video will walk you through how to go back and forth and which type to choose, whether business or Adobe. Now, once you're into the console, we want to make sure that you are comfortable in here. If you're new to the Adobe Admin Console, I really encourage you to watch my overview video on the Admin Console because it walks you through all of the different options, menu options at the top, walks through buy more and when not to use that button, and just make sure you're really comfortable in here since this is the hub of managing your new sign purchase. Now, the key to granting access to sign and getting that up and running is to actually assign users to the sign product. So you can see here on the overview tab that sign is an option. I can also get to that on the products tab. This sign solutions that I have personally is a named user license. Most of the time we're selling transactions to customers and it will look very similar. You'll see the same purple icon. You'll see sign solutions for enterprise. And this is where you will go to truly get things up and running. With sign, you have to assign the users to the product itself. Now you can do that in one of three ways. You can set up single sign-on by claiming your domain and connecting to either Google or Azure identity providers. That is done on the Settings tab. And when you do that, you have the option to also set up user sync. So that would say, allow your Google console to talk to the Adobe console. The users would feed back and forth, and that bypasses the need for you to manually upload or add and assign users. If that's something you would like to do, there is a link to walk you through that in more detail. If you're going to do that, I do recommend that you set up any single sign-on before you start assigning your users. It's just easier to do things in that order. But you don't have to set up single sign-on. Most sign use is for faculty and staff. So if you want, you can just assign users one at a time using the Add Users button that will be blue if you have licenses available. I don't, but anyone that purchases transactions can add unlimited users, so the button will always be blue for that. The other option for assigning users is to go to this ellipses menu and add users by CSV. So depending on how many you need to add, those are the two main ways we see people assign users to sign. Now, once you do that, you'll see that you have there's product roles. There's two that you're going to choose from. When you click on the product role menu, you'll see three, but the main ones we recommend using are the Acrobat Sign Account Admin and User. Now, the admin role is, think management, power users, those that need to be able to see everything the organization is doing when it comes to sending out agreements for signature. Okay, that is your admin. A user is that person that's only going to have to worry about their own agreements. They only need to track what they're sending, and they don't need to see everyone else in the organization. So those will be the ways you'll add your users. You'll assign the role, and don't worry, if you need to change a role later on, you can always do that. And again, if you have transactions, you can add as many users here as you need to. Now, once your users are assigned, you want to be sure to share with them the actual sign console. The link for the sign console that I'm showing here is also in the comments. This is what you're going to send to all the people you add in the other console, okay? Now, once you have added your users, if someone says they can't get into sign, there's two things to check. First is, are they added to the sign product in the Adobe console? And then when you go to the sign console, as an admin, again, only admins will be able to see this, you go to the users menu on the left and you look at activated or pending invites. When you assign a user to the sign product, they get an email asking them to accept that invitation to sign. Now, if they have been using sign within the Acrobat product, they have to archive the Acrobat. Now, that does not get rid of any of their documents. What it does is it tells Adobe on the back end that they are now going to be using the full Adobe sign and not just the sign that lives within Acrobat. If you don't archive the account, they will not be an activated user, meaning they will not show in this users tab. They will not show as completed and green in this console either. So that is a key thing to make sure your users know. Look for that email. Make sure they archive the Acrobat, which again, turns off the Acrobat sign, turns on the full sign functionality. Otherwise, the system is confused on the back end and doesn't know which one the user wants to use. So those are your steps. You're going to get into the console, get familiar. You're going to add the users with the correct product role. And then you're going to share the link to this console where everyone can get in and send out documents for signature. If you have any questions along the way, I am here to help, but hopefully that gets you up and running quickly.